You're watching the #1 college television station in the state of West Virginia, BCTV, Bethany College Television, the home of the Bison.
Dropped a 5-1 defeat to Muskingum yesterday. Game. I thought the junior, Adam Becker.
I heard he hit it.
Yes.
I heard he hit it, and the left fielder just kind of turned and went, well,
Yeah.
wonder where it's going.
It was one of those things that it left his bat, and I said, I think it's gone. Left fielder took a few steps back, and then he realized it was gone too and just stopped. And unfortunately, that was the only run of the game. But, you know, that it looked close at that point. I mean, going into the ninth, it's 2-1, or 3-1. And, you know, you were like,
Muskingum
okay,
tacks
yeah.
on 2 more.
Exactly.
And
And, I mean, it was a shame, but it was just, I think, for the Bison, it's just the bats right now. I think the defense is doing all right. You just got to get your bat on the ball.
well, and you got to look at it from this point of view. Really, Muskingum, yes, it's unfortunate you lose that game. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not a PAC game.
It's not a conference
And
game.
right now, the Bison are sitting 2-1 after last week with the 8-1 victory in 9 innings, losing 8-1 in 7, and then the dramatic walk-off victory for Height Urich. Bottom of the 10th inning, he lines to the shortstop, and
Nickerson was able to
Nickerson
come
was
in
able to score, and that 2-1 in the conference is really where you want to be.
Exactly.
Because you haven't seen W&J yet, which is the power. You haven't seen Thomas More, and there's some other teams there that are ranked ahead of preseason-wise when the rankings came out. They're ranked ahead of the Bison. So it's good to see them get the early wins in the conference that they need.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of baseball left to play. I mean, we're still at the very beginning of the season. And, you know, at this point, when you have these non-conference games, these are the games you actually can play around a little bit. You can put a couple different pitchers in, and like this freshman, I mean, Neil came in and had a great few innings.
Well, let's move to softball. Obviously, baseball, you know, they're already into their conference schedule. Softball, not into their conference schedule at all. We saw Muskingum yesterday for a doubleheader. Cassie Weiss pitched the first game, 11 strikeouts, which was 5 off of her career high and 1 off of her season high this year. 130-some pitches in 9 innings. And Aubrey Baer gets the line drive to shortstop that scores Jasmine Fuqua for the game winner in the first game. In the second game, you had Muskingum really kind of jumped all over the Bison.
Hitting the ball a lot better.
Gab Gowdy got a little rocked in 2 innings. They brought the Canadian in, Sam Binkley. She kind of, there was still a storm. Muskingum was really swinging the bats.
Yeah, they were hot.
They got into the 4th inning with 1 out, and it was apparently the Bison bats came alive. Ashley Narrigan with a 3-run blast to center field that I don't think has landed yet. I mean, she no doubt about it, hit it. And then in her first career at bat for the Bison, Jasmine Keller, all 95 pounds of her, hit a ball all the way out. I mean, no doubt. She couldn't tell it was out. None of us broadcasting could tell it was out because we had the sun right in our eyes. Oh. So she stopped at second base. You see it on the tape. She stops at second base, and she's like, yeah, I got a double. And then the coach goes, oh, come here. Because what had happened was the third base coach told her to slow down, that she hit a home run.
And
she didn't realize. She said stop at second. So, but that was there was 4 runs scored for the Bison. They ended up tacking on 3 more. But Muskingum was just really, they just dominated the game.
They hit the ball very well that second game.
14, they added on another 7, they were up 11-7 at that point. They added another 3. I think the late first game kind of played a little bit of tension. And actually, they didn't even finish the second game.
Really?
It was called at the end of the 6th inning. The umpire kind of left it up to Coach Forsty, and Coach Forsty said, no, it's your call. If you want to call it, call it. And I mean, we're battling the sun. We know once it goes, it's gone, and no lights over there.
No lights.
So the Bison are now 6-10 overall. Have not gone into conference. They're actually playing right now, which is
up at Capitol.
Yeah, they're at Capitol today,
Columbus. And
then they will be at W&J on Saturday. So their first little bit of conference play. Obviously, if you've been following Bison softball, you would expect that they should handle W&J fairly easily. Although W&J has been a little bit of a thorn in the side of Bison softball, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, having all these non-conference games, before you actually start your conference is really nice. I mean, you get a lot of players comfortable, at bat and in the field and stuff. And like you said, a couple freshmen stepped up in that doubleheader against Muskingum. So it's going to be exciting to see, what happens once conference play comes around. Well,
and the scary thing is you have a team in Thomas More who is really dominating their non-conference play. They're at the top. It's them and St. Vincent. I looked at the conference standings. It's them and St. Vincent, and those are the 2 teams you're assuming that the Bison are going to have to deal with right now. But do you have any final thoughts for the baseball team?
No, I mean, I think just going forward, definitely getting the batting cage a little more.
Yeah, I think the bats
get the bats alive a little bit.
I agree.
And other than that, I mean, I think everything else is great. I think they have a promising season.
Solid pitching from Joey Giles, Gross, Hoffman, that whole group, Neil Woods, everybody that they have in that young pitching staff is really going to benefit them later on in the season. Same way for the softball team. Nobody leaving in anytime soon. They're sophomores. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back for PTI. So stay tuned.
Hey, this job looks perfect. It says you need people skills?
Check.
Driver's license?
Check.
And a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
You are good to go.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
Hey, Hard, what's this? That's my resignation. You're resigning. Why? You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit. Oh, I forgot. I'll do better. Please don't quit on me.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. It's PTI segment.
Fun time.
And we're going to start right off the bat with your little, this debacle for Pitt fans. They got a coach because Sean Miller told them no. And Ben Howland said, no, I already left you guys once. I'm not coming back. And so you got your third pick. And apparently Pitt fans aren't happy about it. So let's I'm going to ask the question.
Okay.
Starling, good or bad for Pitt basketball?
No, it is an awful move. I mean, it's awful on multiple levels. First things first, Kevin Stallings coached at Vanderbilt for 17 years. Mm-hmm. And you look at his SEC record, it is less than 500. And the SEC is not known for their basketball teams. He is now coming to the ACC, where they were the best conference in this year's tournament, and they are consistently the best conference year in, year out. But that's just the first one. Next, you have Shelton Jeter, arguably Pitt's best player, and next year will be his senior year. He played at Vandy his freshman year. He left. He wanted to go back home. He's from Western PA. He wanted to go back home and play for the Panthers. His little brother was actually in Vandy on a visit when he decided he wanted to go home. He missed his family and whatnot. And Stallings blocked the transfer and said, you're not leaving. Jeter said, well, I'm going home. Like, you can't stop me. But Stallings did everything he could to stop him. And then the video came out of him sitting in the locker room talking to Stallings, and Stallings, and I quote, said, I am going to blanking kill you. I mean, what does that say as a head coach when you're threatening your players?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. First off, you've never had a coach yell at you? You've never had a coach say something in the locker room?
No, of course.
That he probably wouldn't say, in front of mom and dad.
I've been yelled at, I've never been threatened.
Okay. I've had some coaches that it doesn't necessarily the threat. Probably shouldn't have said what he said, but that doesn't mean that's not even the point. If you're gonna point out the things that he did, how about the abuse allegations? Not verbal abuse. I'm talking the physical abuse, throwing things at people, and that. The problem with Pitt fans is that you guys are looking at some things because it's not who you wanted. Everybody was every Pitt fan in Pittsburgh was infatuated with getting Sean Miller. Why would he leave Arizona to come to Pitt? Thank you.
But also,
the NFL told everybody officially that concussions in football are definitely related. Folks, in case you were wondering, hurling your body at a high rate of speed at another human being causes damage to your brain. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I agree with it to an extent, just because, of course, concussions can happen in any sport. Concussions could happen if you walk out of this room real quick.
If I run full speed into that door, I'm going to have a concussion. But probably some other things.
But I do think they might be going a little too far with this. Yes, okay, so they're looking at brains and stuff of people who died who played football and stuff. And yes, there's this.
It's CTE, which is an absorbent amount of protein sitting on the back of your brainstem that causes things. Junior Seau, probably the most famous case of it, which he kind of shot himself in the chest, and but that's what happens. It's almost the same as a postpartum depression or a post-traumatic stress. You lose touch with reality, and the problem with bringing that up is you can't diagnose that until somebody's dead. Exactly. That can't be tested. There is no test right now for a living human being to find out if they have CTE. They can say you probably have it, or you might have it, but right now they diagnose that as a post-concussion syndrome or something of that nature where you're affected. What I don't understand is why the NFL feels the need now. Because a movie came out, we all know why they feel the need. A movie came out, and now the NFL has to cover its tracks, and they're going to tell us what we already know. Hey, you see these big gargantuans that are, really fast, and they run at each other, and they hit people really hard, and you love to watch it? Well, it really hurts their bodies in the long run. Yeah, well, soccer players get hit in the head with a ball. It hurts their head too. Hockey's the same way. It's sports. It comes with the territory.
With the NFL causing this such a big deal. I mean, other sports, I just flipped on ESPN before I came, and 3 U.S. women international players all said they're donating their brains when they die to this stuff. So we'll see it in every sport here soon.
Coaching shakeups at Bethany. All right, so let's start with the women's soccer team. It was announced on, I think it was last Friday, right before, or maybe a little later than that.
I think it might have been last Friday.
Last Friday, right before Easter break.
Yeah.
It was announced. Coach Perkakis will not be back. He found another job, and I'm sure you have more to say. We might have him on a show later on this week as well.
No, I thought Coach Pete did a good job with women. I mean, it was a program that struggled from year to year, and he actually brought in, I think the best part that he had to this program that still remains right now is the talent he brought in. He actually brought in a lot of talented young women who know the game really well, and they started to get some wins, and they all blended together really well, so the chemistry was there.
I agree. I think Pete did an amazing job.
The trouble is I think, to me, I mean, being a soccer player, I think he could have done better.
Well,
I think when you have that kind of talent,
you have to.
You have no excuse not to at least be challenging
now
for the PAC.
I got to stop you there because I was just given the 1 minute signal. And we got to talk about the other big coaching shakeup here at Bethany. Coach Upton, no longer the women's basketball coach. Bethany actively searching for a new coach. I think most people at Bethany that have watched the games would probably say it was a little bit overdue, and that's no disrespect to Coach Upton. It was just what she was doing obviously wasn't working because you had a point in the season where there was more wins than losses, and then you had a point in the season where there were a lot of losses, and it seemed people were unmotivated and whatnot. So I hope it's a good move. I think it's a good move. I think it's going to be a refreshing thing for the women's program, and I look forward to hearing about it, next year. All right, the argument that everybody's been talking about for probably 2 weeks now since March Madness. The women's side of March Madness started are the UConn women the best basketball team ever? You can go first. Go ahead.
I mean, I would say 100% no. There's no way that any logical person would think this. I actually heard a joke on the radio the other day that said UConn's bench should be the second-ranked team in women's basketball because they're that talented. But you are comparing men to women. I mean, can you say they're the best women's team of all time? Yes. I would say yes. But, I mean, when you talk about a couple of these other teams, I don't think they could beat 500 team
under Wooden or under Bob Knight.
Yeah, I mean, not even.
Well, and that's where the problem is everybody's talking about the team because it's a team that's won 72 games. It's a team that's gone to 9 straight finals or Final Fours. It's a team that's won 3 straight finals. Nobody's talking about the fact that this isn't new ground or new territory for Gino Auriemma or UConn. This has been UConn basketball and the women, and for basketball, is the only consistent thing that has happened in basketball other than my Tar Heels going to 19 straight Final Fours, which is the most in NCAA history. Just to throw that out there. I don't know how many Final Fours Pitt's made, but I think you guys are a little bit behind us. But no, you can't call them the best basketball team ever. They couldn't play in this is not a WNBA team. They could not go and play against professionals. These are still college students. They would not beat the Warriors right now. They would not beat the Bulls, not, my 96, 97 Bulls. They would not even close.
Beat a college team,
they wouldn't beat, you wouldn't beat John Wooden's UCLA teams. You wouldn't beat Bob Knight's Indiana teams. It's just, you're not going to beat a Mike Krzyzewski team or a Dean Smith UNC team. It's just not going to happen. It's like you said, you're splitting, it's apples and oranges. That's why there's the women's basketball conference and the men's basketball conference. Because if you wanted to play them both, you'd play UConn's men against UConn's women, and you'd see who was really better. This is gonna hit a little hard for me because that guy Jeff Locke, once again, the Pirates are gonna shove him down our throats, and we're gonna have to watch him struggle for the first half of the season, and then he's gonna be removed and put into the bullpen, and we're gonna see the guy who I think you're going to talk about, Nicasso, who has really just dominated all spring. And, the Pirates kind of put themselves in a bad situation because they traded Neil Walker for a guy who wasn't producing in New York and is now not really producing in spring. And by not producing, he's gotten shelled. For those of you who don't know what shelled means, is most of his balls are way out of the park. it's just they've put themselves in a situation. They've got too many starters and not enough slots in the rotation.
But yeah, the one person that is missing from the rotation, the odd man out, Juan Nicasio. I mean, he, like you said, this spring, he's been absolutely unreal. He pitched 15 innings this spring so far. He has 24 strikeouts.
One of which being a 4-inning outing or a 4-inning game where he pitched and struck out 10 batters in that 4 innings, which I was listening to the game today. They're playing the Red Sox. Bob Walk said that's the most impressive spring training performance he's seen from a young pitcher in his entire career, both playing and pitching. And, you know, Bob Walk knows a thing or two about pitching baseball, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shame that, you know, he has to be the odd man out, and especially when you talk about Locke just being shut down the throats.
And the thing that really got to irritate you is we're going to see Nicasio anyways. It's just going to be 4 weeks down the road when we figure out that Locke's still can't pitch a curveball, still can't throw his fastball, still going to be sent to the river. I mean, it's awful, and he's been awful. That's why you were at the bottom of the order or the rotation last year. You didn't even make the rotation the year before that. I mean, when is it enough? When is enough enough? It's you.
Oh, D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I'm sure you've seen you've seen on ESPN them talking about he was secretly taping a conversation with Nick Young, Mr. Swaggy P himself. And now he's kind of been shunned from the team. Do you blame his teammates for not talking to him?
Absolutely not. All I know is there is one rule that all athletes follow. It doesn't matter what. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. There's one rule in sports, and what's said in the locker room is said in the locker room. There's no. I mean, you don't film somebody, especially in a situation like Swaggy got himself in all types of problems, but you know what he's saying, and you're still going to go out and not only film it, but you snitched. Yeah. And I mean, if you're my teammate, if you're snitching on me to my girl, I can't trust you on the court. No. You can't trust you off the court. What do you mean?
No, I mean, what was funny was a lot of other athletes came out and kind of spoke about it, some NFL players, and they were saying that if he was ever in an NFL locker room, it wouldn't have went the way it went. There would have been physical altercations.
I don't know if he would have been physically assaulted, but he would have. Let's just assume he did that to like a guy like James Harrison.
Yeah.
And what somebody like James Harrison could do to.
Yeah. Well, the one thing they kind of talked about for a little bit was that he's so young. This is why you can't let guys be one and done in college basketball, because look at the maturity level here when he's.
I've been saying it for a long time. Your one and dones are the reason that Ohio State's program's struggling. You saw it for a little bit. Michigan State struggled. You have Kentucky, who John Calipari's the only guy that can get that type of production.
Yes.
Look at Duke. This was a down year for Duke, and why? Because they've had a couple of years of one and dones. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't prepare somebody to sit for 1 year because this guy's better and he wants to only play there for a year.
Ding.
All right.
Your turn.
Last question. I was watching Dan Patrick this morning when I woke up, and he posed an interesting question. What happened to Tiger Woods? There was some infidelity. But at one time, Tiger Woods was the golfer. You couldn't play he had his own video game. He has all the Nike clubs and the commercials, and now you don't even. I haven't heard about him in probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Other than this morning when I heard him on Dan Patrick.
It's very surprising because, like you said, he went from being the number one talked about golfer to being non-existent altogether. He blamed a lot on his injuries. Of course, he always said, "Oh, my back. I pulled something in my back again." And he always claims he's coming back. He said, "You haven't seen the last of him. You'll see him again." But honestly,
yeah, on the old people's tour,
I think
he's gonna be out there with like Arnold Palmer with his walker. Like, what do you mean? Arnold Palmer's going down the fairway in his walker, and Tiger Woods gonna be out driving him at 30. Like, well, I guess Tiger's a little older than that.
It all went downhill when you took his women away from him.
All right. Now that's where I'm going to stop you. That's where I'm going to stop you. Not that I don't disagree that the man, if the man wanted to have his women, the man should have been allowed to have his women. But here's what nobody wants to talk about. There was a list that was released that really affected the baseball world. It was called the Balco list, and it had everybody who had ever bought or taken steroids from the company known as Balco. Funny name that's on that list that nobody ever talks about because he wasn't a baseball player is Tiger Woods. What happened right after that list came out? Well, let's see. The back started hurting. The knee went. The shoulder went. His wife hit him in the head with a golf club inside of his truck. I mean, a concussion probably occurred, you know, and then you took his women and you made him give that fake, awful apology on TV that nobody believed. But no ding. I'm going to keep going on this. I think I'm all right with this. But seriously, because he was a golfer, you don't assume that a golfer would take steroids.
No.
Or HGH or whatever, you know, the clear that Barry Bonds was taking.
It's not a sport exactly where you would think that, oh, like steroids are going to make me better.
Look at his drive before the Balco incidents, before all that list comes out, and look at the drive after. He loses at least 10 to 15 yards.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, you know, I'm sorry that you Pitt people were so upset.
They're gonna. I mean, after all the donors pulled out, who knows? He might be done.
Well, Brandon Knight being an assistant.
Yesterday they just announced Brandon Knight is coming in because that's for the players.
Yeah, well, of course he's got to get the players on his side somehow. All right. Well, we're gonna go to a commercial. We'll be back right after this.
When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George. Learn the signs of a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Spot a stroke fast.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
The odds of winning 7 Grammy Awards? 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton. Learn more at autismspeaks.org.
Welcome back. I hate you.
Hey, it happens.
I really do.
At least I finally got you to talk about Pitt.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk good about. I talked good about Pitt.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Only because all you Pitt people were complaining. That's all I've heard.
So you just always have to go like against the status quo?
Anything that Pitt says, I'm going against it. It's like if Ohio State's playing somebody, I cheer for the other team.
Now, see, we can agree on that.
But it's the same thing for Michigan as well. If Michigan's playing somebody, I cheer for the other team. Well, I'm a Penn State fan, so. You know.
Yeah. You ready for next year?
Yeah, well.
Or the fall.
Next fall. You mean when Penn State beats Pitt? Okay.
Hey, that's cool. I'll see you there.
Anything else you want to say? Anybody you want to thank or anything?
No. I mean, yeah, of course, we can thank all our wonderful people who help us out here in the studio. I'm going to miss you now that next week's our last episode. We have to go out with a bang.
Yeah, I guess so.
We gotta do something.
I don't have a piece of paper to throw, so I had to find something else to throw at somebody. I don't know what it is. I just pulled something out of my pocket. So, Pierce, you might want to get out of the way. Because I don't know what Oh, look at this. He finally did his job. He didn't bring us any M&Ms. But, I guess I can't say on the show on TV, can I? Should we redo that, or?
No, play it. You
all right.
made that bet.
All right, well, you better bleep it out then.
I'll do what I can.
All right, well, we're going to thank everybody that was here. Lamont doing his thing. Dion, I seen sneak in here. Pierce behind the camera. Lauren Simpson with the rickety headphones listening to me talk. And everybody else, Erik Sprowls, whatever he does. He just, as far as I'm concerned, he turns the lights on and just walks back and forth. That's all I ever see him do.
Well, he gets credit.
But he's supposed to bring us M&Ms. Haven't ever seen them.
We saw him once.
One time,
and
I was told they were going to come back. Never did. Brought us donuts 3 weeks after he was supposed to bring us donuts.
True.
So yeah, I guess hopefully for my last show, maybe I'll get something nice. Maybe he'll do something nice for me. Probably not though. I'm not going to hold my breath.
Cake.
Well, that's funny.
It makes sense since you're leaving. It's your birthday kind of birthday cake.
No, you're not. You're not funny. All right, we're out of here. Everybody have a good night. Yeah, it was like a little curve there, yeah.
I had no idea.
That was a nice. Well, I've been watching Garrett Cole working on the curveball.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.